Hey everyone, my name's Scott and this is my friend Nathan. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we do these bi-weekly videos. We're trying to create a platform to have conversations about recovery from, in this case, a very biblical lens as we're looking at the New Testament book of James. Isn't it amazing? You think about it. James is the earthly brother of Jesus Christ. Now, how many people bow down to their older brother and say, "You are God"?
Yeah, he had to go through some recovery methods.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Because I'm sure he didn't always believe, right?
Right.
So, with that said, this is the passage that we're not going to dive into that deep theologically, other than to read the key point and then extrapolate out what the recovery message we think is the application.
Yeah, because our goal with all of this is to really put it through the lens of recovery, to put it through, even in language that those in recovery or thinking I need to recover would be able to identify with.
Yeah.
So this passage is most people would recognize it, but if not, it's basically the idea that faith without works is dead. So how does this relate to recovery?
Yeah.
Because we did talk about how would this be put in the recovery context.
Yes. So the thing that I think of is that service, from what I've read and what I see in Celebrate Recovery, is such a big part. Serving others, usually not necessarily in the beginning of the recovery process, but eventually, when you get a level of health and healing, service becomes a key part of really fanning the flame of one's own recovery.
I think it's a completely different foundational mindset, actually. There's in the beginning, it is man, I really need to fix myself. I really need to get over this hurt, habit, hang up. I need to, I need to find a way to fix my life, right? But at some point, that's still an I mode. And to start saying, okay, I'm going to help someone else, that is a totally different perception.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different thinking, and it's a different way of making decisions as well. And I think it actually becomes more powerful because we are often more willing to do things for other people that are not always natural, that are pushing ourselves, that make us more committed, that make us more motivated as well. So it has a different emotional context because it doesn't bring the same shame and guilt context when you're trying to help other people.
Yeah. Now, I use this phrase very carefully, but one that I've heard before. People will talk about being dry drunks. And it's such an interest, like, dry drunks, what does that mean? And if you think about it, if whatever your hurt, habit, or hang up or addiction is, it's probably wrecking at least some area, if not many areas of your life, right? If it's drinking too much, you can imagine, maybe some of you have experienced the havoc that wreaks in your life relationally, maybe financially, physically to your body. Gambling, you may have no money left. Relationships, name any hurt, habit, or hang up. And so stopping that pain initially is valuable. I mean, you have to do that. That is where the journey begins.
Right. I mean, we're talking about when someone comes into recovery, their first priority would be to stop acting out.
That's right.
And that could be a hurt, habit, or hang up. Acting out for a hurt would be, panic attacks, right?
Yep.
Acting out for an addiction would be I grab that bottle or I click on the wrong website.
Yeah.
So any kind of acting out is a rhythm, is a habit that you're simply trying to replace. You can't just stop, but you'd replace it by coming to recovery meetings, by other small things like having more meditation times, or prayer times, reading the right kind of books and the Bible and things like that. So that is the first step, but at some point you get to the dry drunk phase.
Yes.
Which is, I'm a drunk, but I'm just not drinking.
That's right.
Right?
Or as our friend Steve shared publicly recently, that he stopped his gambling, but then he was challenged to do more. And he's like, what are you talking about, do more? I've stopped, right? I go to these meetings. I don't do that anymore. Yeah. And his soon-to-be mentor and sponsor said, no, there's more.
I think that's what most people are focused on when they're coming to recovery is, I think the end goal is me to just stop acting out in the wrong way.
That's right. That's right.
But the amazing thing happens that when you get to that point and you start helping others, I think that's where the things like joy in your life come about, because you can be sort of satisfied that you're just not acting out the way you were, or you just don't feel as guilty or shamed. But joy, definitely, there's a huge, amazing capacity for joy, even for feeling loved and giving love, when you're starting to help others.
That's right.
So it's kind of like, it's the new phase where now your life looks not just like, I've just been able to stop acting out, to, wow, that person is different, because you've changed your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, remember, many of our addictions are a way to medicate pain. Now, if I have a surgery, and I've heard this particular story, if I have a surgery in a hospital and I'm prescribed opioids, and I become instantly addicted to them, then I wouldn't argue that that was obviously not caused by an emotional pain. That was literally something that happened and I got addicted to it. Mm-hmm. But so many times we hear in our testimonies, like the one we'll hear at Celebrate Recovery tonight, we hear, I grew up in this kind of a home, and this message is what I believed about myself. And then this happened to be available. Again, name any medication. Yeah. Gambling was available, or competing was available, or pornography was available, or relationship, alcohol. Right. And that's what they use to medicate. And so going back to this, what for us, we're pulling out this parallel between faith and good works. Right. And we're saying service is a big piece, good works, if you will, when it comes to a little further down in one's recovery. And that's why in step 12, it says, having had a spiritual experience, I now pass this message on to others. Right. And if you're not aware, Celebrate Recovery has 8 principles. And the 8 principles all coming from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. The last one, similar to step 12, principle 8, yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and my word. So if we're going to use, what we're basically saying is, God, use me in service to others.
I think, it's great that it's number 12, this 12th step, and the 8th principle, which are the last of each of those. It's almost kind of a launching out, I think, right? Yes, it's kind of like now you get to live your life, which we actually just did, purpose-driven life. Yes. On purpose. Yes. And just to connect it to James chapter 2, because we're still in this section, faith without works. It does say, just as the body, when it's separated from the spirit, that is death. So also faith, removed from works, is also dead. And it's kind of like saying, if you're just saying the steps and the principles, but you're not living them out, if you're not practicing them, then you're not really in the depths of recovery yet, right? You just stay in the dry drunk phase, no matter which hurt, habit, or hang up that you are actually in.
That's right.
So So it's a great principle to really think about, because I know for certain that people who are in recovery have a hard time thinking, well, I'm not equipped to help somebody out.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
But let's face it, everybody in recovery who is helping lead something has actually faced something.
That's right.
and has really worked on their own recovery.
That's
and they
the
continue
norm.
to work on it.
That's the norm.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard of a recovery leader say, man, I've never had to work on anything. I don't know. I don't think that exists.
That's right.
So when you're asked to be challenged, and maybe this is the call to action, but when you're asked by someone, a mentor, a sponsor, or a leader, to think about leading or to think about facilitating the open share group, one of those, I know most thoughts are, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm ready. And I don't know that we ever feel ready.
Right.
The point is it's a transition from an old mindset to a new mindset.
That's right.
And you just have to say yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So we leave you with that thought that serving others is the next step, perhaps for you in your spiritual journey. It's certainly part of the recovery process. And if you're not serving, take the next step, serve somebody else, lead a group, attend a meeting, share your story. All right.
Okay.
Great conversation.
Great. It was a great chapter 2. Definitely encourage you to read, of course, James. I mean, it's not even a long book. There's only a few chapters in it. But it is a fabulous book. So otherwise, we hope to see you in person at one of our meetings at 7 o'clock on Mondays at Christ Community Church, or with one of our videos too. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.